And we are live. Welcome, mystery and thriller fans. I'm your on-air host, Sara DiVello, and I am so excited to welcome tonight double the trouble and double the fun to this very special pre-launch event. Tessa Wegert and Darby Kane here to give us the inside scoop on their brand new books out tomorrow. Ladies, welcome to Mystery and Thriller Mavens. Tessa, let's kick off with you. Tell us about this book, Shana Marchant, book number 4.
Yes, book number 4. Thank you, Sarah. I'm so excited to be here with both of you tonight. So this is the 4th book in the Shana Marchant series. It does work as a standalone, but you can also go back to the beginning and find out all the backstory about everything that's happened to date. But in this story, Shana has a deep, dark secret that is finally coming to light. I won't tell you all the aspects of that secret, but part of it is that she has blood ties to a serial killer that she's been hunting for several years, who at some point turned the tables on her and started hunting her. So in this story, we are in a small town in upstate New York in the Thousand Islands community, and a tourist has gone missing during a very popular pirate-themed summer street festival. And there may or may not be some echoes of copycat crime related to the serial killer that she's been hunting, who she has this very personal relationship with in this very kind of secretive, mysterious past.
Whoa. And just like that, Tessa Wegert hooked us good. Can't wait to get into all the dirty deets. Darby, over to you. Give us the skinny on your book, The Last Invitation.
First, thanks so much for having me here, Sarah. And I've read Tessa's book, so everybody should go get Tessa's book. It's fantastic. The Last Invitation is about a group of powerful women in the DC area who think the justice system has failed. So they create one of their own, and they target very bad men doing very bad things, and everything works and goes along fine until they make one mistake with a new member and everything unravels.
One mistake is what we're here for. Oh my goodness. Well, I can't wait to get into all the delicious details. First, I just want to welcome everyone. So we are going live to 7 different destinations across Facebook and YouTube tonight. So no matter where you're watching from, you're in the right place. This is the right time. It is Mystery Monday. And because Mondays can be murder, we're going to make it a little less painful for you. If you've been here before, you know the drill. And if you're new, oh my goodness, welcome. We're so happy to have you. Here's the drill. Every Monday, I give you my hand-picked featured authors, and you get to ask them anything. So ask Tessa Wegert about this Shana book number 4. Ask her about this serial killer. What does she know? What can she tell us? Darby'S talking about revenge, women, justice go wrong. Oh my goodness, we got so much to get into. So just go ahead and get your questions going in the comments. Let's get right over to them. We have a mystery user joining us saying, hello, ladies. Hi, friend.
Hello.
Welcome. Catch a clue. Welcome. Saying, hi, ladies. Hi, Wendy. So great to have you with us. Welcome. Welcome back. Susan joining us from Nashville. Welcome, Susan. Thank you so much for tuning in. Oh, we have Aline Cogdell, our favorite mystery reviewer here. She says she's happy to be here. Hey, Aline, always a pleasure. We have another mystery user saying they can't wait to read these books. Oh, you're going to love them. Anissa Joy, welcome to the conversation, saying, hello, ladies. She's excited to hear about these books. Oh, my goodness. All of us are, right? So exciting. So I'm going to kick off with some of my burning questions. Like I have so many, and everyone else, type your questions in the comments. I'll get them right over to these fabulous authors. So Tessa, let's kick off with you. Publishers Weekly awarded you a starred review for Dead Wind, raving that it was a standout crime thriller, praising your ability to balance plot and characterization. So when it came time to write Shana book number 4, was that motivating? Was that paralyzing? Were you terrified? Tell us how you keep doing it.
Good question. Fortunately, I didn't see that review until Shana number 4 was mostly done. So I didn't, feel too much additional pressure, which was nice. But definitely, especially I think with the series, there is that pressure to continue to deliver, and satisfy readers. Because at this point, 4th book in a series, readers are becoming attached to these characters, and I always want to do right by them and produce a story that will satisfy them and that doesn't feel too far off the mark. So that was what I had hoped to do, and that I hope I did do with the fourth book, The Kind to Kill.
And do you think there'll be more Shayna books? Are you a Patricia Cornwell? Are we talking 36 books down the road? I mean, what's the plan, Tessa?
I wish I could say for sure that 36 books is what will ultimately conspire, but I know for sure that there will be a fifth book. There will be a fifth book. I'm working on it now. It will be coming out most likely December of 2023. So yeah, the series is still going for now, and it's just been really satisfying to see readers connect with Shayna in particular. I mean, I think a few of the characters, Tim Wellington, her pseudo partner love interest, is a character that I think resonates with a lot of readers from what I have heard. But, Shayna is really she is vulnerable, but she's also kind of a badass detective in a really, a really tricky situation, dealing with these ghosts from her past, the serial killer. She has experienced an abduction. And because of all of that, she empathizes with the victims, but she also, I think it makes her a stronger investigator too. She also is able to, tackle the crimes that she is able to tackle in the way that she is, and be effective at her job because of everything that she's gone through and the trauma that she's gone through. So I think in some way that seems to resonate with readers. I mean, this isn't a detective who's perfect by any means. She's got her flaws, and we definitely see them from one book to the next.
Well, I think that is a badass detective / vulnerable is the secret sauce we are here for. I love this question. What writers have influenced you or that you admire? Darby, let's kick off with you.
You know what I really love is I grew up reading mysteries, thrillers, and suspense, and so many of them, except for Patricia Cornwell, some others, so many of them were written by men, and they seem to be kind of male focused, like the spunky woman could get away from the serial killer, but you still heard about the male police officer and the serial killer more than you heard about the spunky woman. And what I loved is, I think over the last, I don't even know how many years it is now, everything's blurred together, but over the last, maybe 8 years, decade, there is a huge influx of female thriller writers, of women thriller writers. And I love these books. Like they have women doing bad things, which I love, right? Like women imperfect, flawed, but still somehow solving crimes and being survivors, not victims. And so I love everything about kind of a turn that I think that the genre has taken, where there is such a focus on, there are a lot of women thriller writers. They have a lot of women leads who are doing a lot of stuff that we really weren't seen in that many in mystery suspense thrillers until recently. So I love all of it. And it's one of those things, if you go to list the authors you love, we'd be here until Thursday. But I just love anybody who can kind of, like, I love Jennifer Hillier. I love anybody who puts it on the page and I'm like, wow, she went there. Like, she did not pull the punches. I love that. And I think you just see that across the board right now with thriller writers.
Ooh, a very exciting trend. Tessa, what about you? What writers have influenced you? What writers do you admire?
Yeah, I would agree with everything that Darby has said. It's been really fascinating to watch this genre really evolve and become more female dominated in a lot of ways. I would say there are a few, same. I could sit here all night long listing. Darby is very high on the list. I also have read The Last Invitation, and it was one of those, I was so happy to have the early copy. It was one of those things where I was up way too late at night, tearing through the surprise. The ending, everything about it was just so, it has The Firm vibes for me, which was a movie that I absolutely loved. Well, I haven't read the book.
Yes.
The movie was a movie that I absolutely loved. I may go back and read the book. So yeah, I just, there are so many authors. I think a couple that stand out for me also are Louise Penny, who is Canadian like me. Her books are set in the part of Quebec that I happen to grow up in. So those really resonate with me because that atmosphere is something I'm very familiar with from my youth. Tana French. There are so many authors. I love authors who, I think there are a couple different approaches you can take. Like, some books are very action packed and fast paced. Some are kind of more lyrical and literary. And then you get some that are a mix of both. And honestly, I don't have a preference. I love them all because they all deliver something different to the reader. They all deliver, like a unique experience and a kind of a different lens into crime fiction and a different approach that I really enjoy. So I don't have, particular favorite styles of thrillers and mysteries. I'm just kind of a equal opportunity reader when it comes to all of that stuff. I just feel very, I think a lot of readers probably feel the same way. I feel very lucky to be a reader at a time like this, let alone an author, but a reader at a time like this where there's so much exciting stuff happening in these genres.
Ooh, great question. And thank you for the great answers from both of you. And we have Aline saying, Darby, you're so right about growing up reading, so many male writers. And now what a joy and how cool it is to see. Thanks for all the love on Facebook, you guys. I love seeing all those hearts just exploding, saying, that it's so great to see all these female writers just putting it out there, going there, putting it on the page. And high praise there from Aline Cogdell, amazing reviewer. She's adding that there's a lot of badass women in The Last Invitation. Absolutely. So Darby, tell us about your process in creating these badass women. Take us to the moment of inception. Were you taking your morning coffee and it popped in there? Did it take years? You saw a dude doing bad things and you had a few thoughts about revenge? Walk us through the moment.
Well, and we've all seen some dudes doing some bad things lately, right? Like, I mean, there's been a lot in the news of kind of awful things are happening or women are attacked. And what we hear about is, but he's a nice kid and this will ruin his future. And it's like, what? So The Last Invitation was kind of born out of a little bit of that, actually, a little bit of like anger and frustration at kind of what felt like women getting, I don't know, knocked back a little bit. And I was really upset about that. The other reality is one of the main characters in The Last Invitation is a lawyer in the Washington, D.C. area. And I was a divorce lawyer in the Washington, D.C. area for 12 years. This is not nonfiction, I promise.
Darby, where are you on Monday night?
I know. It's a law firm like blown out of control. But I wanted to kind of play with what I knew about the system that handles custody and divorce. And the reality is anybody who's in it, the lawyers, the judges will say to you, it's not a great system because there's no way for somebody like hearing your court case for 4 days to know everything about you and how great you are as a parent. And people are at their absolute worst and they fight over stuff like curtains. I'm not kidding. And so it's a very kind of bizarre world. So to be able to combine that with kind of the ongoing frustration of seeing stuff in the news and letting myself just, what if there was this alternate system and women were in control of it?
I was interested in that you opened your book with a quote from David Gerald saying, most people say they want justice, but they don't really want justice. They want revenge. And I thought to myself, that's so freaking true. But justice sounds better. It sounds more altruistic and noble, but revenge is more true. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, and I think it's one of those things that as an outside observer, you say, I want justice. If you're in it, do you like maybe you do want revenge? And one of the issues in this book is vigilantism. Like, when is it okay to say every system that was supposed to protect me didn't protect these people I care about, so I'm going to do it. And as a lawyer, right, like I should have a bright line answer of it is apt, but it's not. Like, when you live in society and you hear about stuff, you do say to yourself every once in a while, okay, I see why that happened. I mean, I see why, not that it's great, but I see why it's happened. So one of the things I got to do with the book is basically have women who were frankly unapologetic about the fact that they believe in vigilante justice, because one of them's a judge. They've tried everything else and they don't think it works. And so to be able to play with that and kind of let the reader decide, is it a good thing? Is there a line? Is it a gray area? Yeah.
Ooh, tasty. Now, Tessa, Shayna knows a few things about historical injustices and revenge and justice. Let's talk about that for you. How was that for you in writing Shayna book 4?
Yeah, she doesn't always follow the rules. She has, for a couple of books now, had inside information about the man that she's been hunting, hoping to apprehend, that she has not shared with the rest of her team, that she has not shared with the NYPD where she used to work, or the New York State Police, who is after this serial killer now. So it's interesting because occasionally I get messages from readers saying, I really think she should have fessed up and shared what she knew because it would have helped the investigation. But the fact of the matter is, it makes for a more interesting thriller / mystery if, she holds that information back. So it's kind of nice for me because I get to, play puppet master and pull the strings a little bit and have her not follow all of the rules, because I really think it makes for a more interesting story sometimes.
I love that. Diane, welcome to the conversation. Thanks for joining us from YouTube. She's saying good evening to both of you. Let's get to some of these other amazing reviews that you have earned. So Darby, let's get over to you. The New York Times book review, Raving. I'm going to pop this up so we can all just see it for a moment together. Darby Kane deserves credit for dispensing with anything resembling a slow burn in The Replacement Wife. There is a rollicking, almost absurdist tone to Kane's writing that kept me engaged. Finally, after several doses of sociopathy, more than a little gaslighting and arguments galore, nearly all of Elisa's suspicions are confirmed in the worst possible way. Nearly saves room for a final surprise I didn't foresee. Same question over to you. What was the pressure motivating? Was it crippling? How do you keep producing book after book?
First of all, like, being in the New York Times is one of those things that, people talk about bucket lists. It's one of those things that you're like, I don't think it'll ever happen, but if it does, how cool it'll be. So when it happened, I just kind of sat there like, oh, okay, yay. Maybe I can do this. So, but like Tessa says, when you get down and it's you and the keyboard and you're trying to, like, I have a whiteboard behind me. I work on the whiteboard. When I'm trying to put the book together, all of that falls away. Like, because for every glowing review, you're going to be able to find a 1-star, I'm not sure she's ever read a book type of review, right? Like, they're all out there. Trust me. So I think you just have to kind of block it and say, this is the book I'm going to write. This is the book I know how to write. Like only I can put it on the page this way, and then let yourself do it.
I love that. Yeah, because it's as a creative, it's hard to keep creating when people are you want them to read, but then sometimes people can be mean. And how does that, and how does that work? But what if you get a great review, and how does that work? Such a fascinating conversation. Melissa joining us from Australia. Hey, Melissa, great to see you pop up. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let's get into some of these other questions. So I let people submit questions in advance in the Mystery and Thriller Mavens group because not everyone can watch live. So Helen would like to know from both of you, what advice do you have for aspiring writers? Tessa, over to you.
Tessa has some good advice that I can take too. So good.
I know. I'm always eager to hear the advice from fellow authors too, because I think we all have, I guess I shouldn't speak for everyone, but I definitely have moments of this imposter syndrome. It creeps in. It's just you. It's like Darby said, it's just us and the keyboard and, this universe that we're trying to create for so long that I think it's natural to have doubts sometimes. So I would say my advice to writers is to just not think about, anything else other than what you can bring to the story. What is it that you know? What are, the skills that you have, the viewpoint that you can share? What can you apply to this story that no one else can? And then really capitalize on that, because it's, books are so subjective, and we're not going to be able to appeal to everyone as writers. And that's just a fact. But if you bring, your own flavor to whatever it is that you're writing, I think there are people out there that it's going to resonate with. And it's a good idea. And this has been my experience too, to just try to tune out everything else that's going on, as Darby, I think, alluded to, and then just really focus on doing the best that you can, putting in time, even if it's just a little time every single day, just really trying to immerse yourself in this story. And I mean, I think a lot of times people don't know where they're going to end up and are really pleased with where the process takes them.
Ooh, I love that. Oh my gosh, I see so many great questions coming in. But Darby, let's get over to you. What's your best advice? Not your first rodeo. What have you learned? What can you share?
I think is advice somebody gave to me at the very beginning of my career, which I forget daily, but it is that this career is a marathon, not a sprint. Right?
God, yes.
Right? Because it is so easy to get derailed by like somebody, selling better than you, or something you thought was going to come through doesn't come through, or it doesn't you get the bad review. It is very easy for people and things, including yourself, to derail you. And all you can do is kind of keep your eyes on your own paper, right? Like, don't compare yourself to others. Don't ever read your Goodreads reviews, and just keep doing what you need to do. It's a persistence issue. And if you think it's a sprint, it's going to be a sprint for you. You got to look at everything as this is long-term. Keep pushing. Don't give up. Don't let you can write. You're a storyteller. Don't let anyone derail you from that.
Ooh, I love that. I love that. Okay, I just saw 3 amazing questions come in, and I want to get to every single one of them because these are so freaking juicy. So Diane, let's kick off with you. She wants to know I love this. How do you reward yourself when you finish a book? Tessa, tell us your reward.
That's a fun question. When I am working on a book, I do read still other authors' work. I don't know. I know a lot of authors don't do that, but I find that it kind of energizes me somehow, maybe because I'm looking at finished stories and it reminds me this is possible. I can make it happen. But I don't really watch that much TV because I'm just trying to, especially when I'm in the drafting phase, I'm just trying to get, as much done as I possibly can. So when I'm at the point where I have a finished draft, I'm ready to send it off, let's say to my editor, I usually try to find a series. It's always a crime series, and just binge it. It'll be Shetland based on the Anne Cleves books. It'll be another one was Mayor of Easttown. Whatever is new out there that I missed over all those months where I was so focused on just my desk and my screen, I try to catch up on. And it's a nice reward. It's, something I really look forward to.
Ooh, and Mayor of Easttown was so freaking good. Oh my God. I was just eating my popcorn and binging it. So tasty. Darby, what's your reward?
First, I would say reward small wins as well as big wins, right? Finishing the book is huge, but signing that contract is huge. Getting some good news from your editor is getting the great starred review that Tessa got is good news. Reward everything because it is all a big deal. And sometimes I think when you're in the career, you lose sight of the fact how huge it is to finish a book and have it on the shelves. And so if you reward small and big wins, I think you keep I think it just helps keep the excitement alive as you go forward. What I do at the end of the book to reward, I can't read thrillers when I'm in the last 6 weeks of writing one. So I have a stack. You should see the stack. I have this stack in my bedroom, and I have them all. I just keep putting them there. And I just finished a book a day ago. So I will start probably right after this week. I will start just reading, just read and just go through all of these books I've been so excited about, and I'm just going to go through them one after the other. I just read like you would think I don't even sleep and eat. That's how fast I read it to get through them.
Just like a buzzsaw.
I do. It's
zipping
right through them.
I love it. I love it. Diane is laughing with us. Yes, these are such great questions. Christine, welcome. And she would like to know, do you have a single author that you can point to that influenced your love of writing? Tessa, over to you.
Oh gosh, it's so cliche kind of in a way to say, but at the same time, not, because she's iconic. But I would say Agatha Christie, and especially with, as I was writing the first book in the series, Death in the Family, I was rereading And Then There Were None. And it just kind of cemented for me what a force she was for this genre, and so ahead of her time. So that is an author who I think continually influences me. I've read a lot of Agatha Christie books, but certainly not all, but I still go back and reread often the ones I've enjoyed or discover new ones that I hadn't, that hadn't crossed my path before. And I think that probably somewhat influences my writing style too. I mean, definitely in terms of certain format and, structures I have borrowed in ways from Agatha Christie with the Locked Room Mystery, for example. So she's definitely pretty high on the list.
What about you, Darby?
I would say the same name. As soon as Tessa started saying, I know it sounds cliche, I was like, she's going to say Agatha Christie, because I'm the same way. And I think it's, first of all, the locked in thriller, where you throw people together in a cabin at a beach house at wherever, and then pandemonium just begins, is my absolute favorite thriller type. And she is the queen of that. And Then There Were None is just brilliant in my view. But also the fact that all of her books have stood the test of time the way they have. Like the movies are still being remade. The books, there was just an Agatha Christie, like Miss Marple anthology that just came out. Like we still are exactly, the Poirot series. We are still so attached to her books, the way she wrote. I just think I think for a lot of people in the thriller world, she's kind of the one that we think of.
She is our queen, and we are but her humble servants. Christine saying, Agatha, agree. Agatha is so good. Christine, thank you for the great question. Aline giving us all the love. Thank you, Aline. And adding that Darby Kane, you skillfully explore the dual natures of your characters in the absorbing The Replacement Wife. High praise there from our favorite mystery critic at the Sun Sentinel Publishers, Weekly Shelf Awareness, and so many more. Aline, thank you for watching and for these thoughtful comments. I also want to get over to this fabulous question, also from I'm just scrolling back because they're going so fast I can't keep up, but I'm gonna get to all of them. From Diane. Do you have any writing rituals? If so, what are they? And I will add, if they're weird, I'll like them more. Tessa, tell us your weird writing rituals.
Oh gosh, Darby, do you want to feel this one first?
No, I was so happy she said your name, Tessa. I was like, good, Tessa can go while I try to.
Yeah, I'm picking on Tessa a lot first. Okay, Darby, over to you. You're the trial attorney. Tell us your weird. Come on.
Weird ritual?
It doesn't have to be weird. I added that. Let's stick to Diane's real question. Do you have any writing rituals? So tell us, do you go to your desk at the same time every day? Is it a certain number of words? Is it a certain number of pages? Do you sit in the same seat? Do you face the same way? Do you have the same cup? Like, what are your rituals? Yeah, I gotta say, I was gonna say I don't have any, but I have like 9 on that list. I do. You know how people like write in parks and in coffee shops, and I can write at this desk. That is where I can write. And that, for every thriller, it has been here. I sit at my desk at probably almost the same time every day. I usually write, even if it's like, wow, that was drafty and not particularly good, I write a chapter a day, and that sounds a little more impressive than it is. Sometimes the chapters are like 3 pages. I mean, that's not a huge amount of, but I have to put down a chapter when I sit down to write. I every weekday. I don't try very hard not to work on Saturdays. But
but I do Monday through Friday, and then I do Sunday. And every day when I sit down, I start with revising. I go back a whole bunch of chapters and I revise them forward to where I'm about to start. And then I go forward. That's kind of helps me with continuity. And at the end of every day, I end by, in the next chapter that I'll wake up to the next morning, I write out dialogue. And I mean, like, literally just in quotes, no who's saying it, people moving around, thoughts, feelings, nothing, just pure dialogue. It just looks like dialogue down a page. And I will do it for at least one page so that when I sit down the next day to write, I never open, except for the very first day, I never open to a blank page. I have some sort of dialogue there that I say, last night, this is what I thought the next thing was. And then I go from there. See, I do have rituals.
First of all, I love everything I just heard. Second of all, I especially love that you said, I don't have any rituals except I have 9 rituals. Tessa, tell us about your writing rituals.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of self-exploration happening in this conversation, which is really nice.
A lot of healing is happening tonight. That's what we do.
Exactly. Funny, and this is why I love doing things like this, because it's so fascinating for me to hear other authors' approach to these things. But I have a totally different approach. I have 2 kids who are now 14 and 16, but I've been writing since they were tiny babies. So I guess my ritual is that I almost always have a bowl of dark chocolate chips with me to snack on while I'm writing. And I don't know if it's just something about moving my hands and reaching for the snack while I'm working or something. It just helps me to focus and stay like on the ball. But then, I can write anywhere, anytime. I think I've just kind of trained myself to, whether the dog is barking or kids are yelling about homework, calling questions across the room to me. I've just kind of over the years, I think, come to, become accustomed to the background noise and the distractions. And so that's useful, except that then sometimes I kind of feel like I just freeze when I do have that quiet time, especially if I've got hours stretching out in front of me that I could really use and capitalize on. Instead, I just kind of feel like I need to put some music on or something because I'm so used to working with just all this chaos happening in the background. So I guess I don't know if that's so much a ritual as a lack of a ritual.
I think the chocolate chips count as a ritual.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And then a follow-up question from Diane. Diane, I'm loving these questions. She would like to know, how do you decompress? So Darby, over to you. How do you decompress after you finish that writing or that book or this interview?
I love, like Tessa said, I love British crime shows. And I have a habit of that part of the decompression post writing is not only do I read every thriller that I have on my stack, but I also I have usually saved some series and I will just sit and watch it. And I don't care if it's cozy British with like in a, lovely small village where for some reason everybody dies and nobody notices, or if it's, Shetland, like something that's rougher. And I just thoroughly enjoy watching somebody else's take on a thriller and just sit and enjoy that. I also go outside sometimes, believe it or not. I do have a beautiful yard and I sit out there and read. I swear, you're probably like, does she, first of all, the room's really weirdly dark, and does she leave it? She does. I promise she does. She does.
Sometimes I do extend myself to the outdoor world.
Yeah, every once in a while I go outside.
Do you ever leave the writing cave, or what do you do to decompress?
Other than watching the shows, I would say I typically will walk. I do a lot of walking with or without the dog, but usually with the dog, sometimes with the husband, sometimes with the kids, and sometimes just completely on my own, because honestly, it really helps me to process. I do a lot of walking too, particularly while I'm in the plotting, drafting phase, because it just, every time I feel like I come up against an impossible plot hole or obstacle that I can't kind of work through, I just find that kind of putting it out of my mind, I guess it's just, I'm still working on it, in the background somehow subconsciously. And then by the time I get back from the walk, it's always when I'm not thinking about the plot that the plot answers come to me, which is why I have a hard time sleeping, because especially when I'm in the plotting phase, when I lie down and try to, make my mind a blank, that's when all of a sudden all these ideas come to me. So I always keep my phone close by, and then I email myself, notes, dialogue, like Darby said, so that the next morning when I sit down to write, I have kind of a head start and hopefully a solution to whatever problem I was facing.
I love that. I love that. I just want to remind y'all that we are drawing near the end of our time, but we continue the good conversation over in Mystery and Thriller Maven. So be sure to join. Mystery and Thriller Maven is free and open to all. You can submit questions in advance, request your favorite authors, and enter to win giveaways. It's fun. So be sure to join. Risa, welcome to the conversation. She's saying British mysteries are my favorite, using the British spelling there, giving extra credit there for Risa. Sally, welcome to the conversation, saying my favorite British series is Vera and Father Brown. Oh, such good choices there, Sally. Thank you. Diane is thanking you both for answering her questions. Oh my goodness. Oh, a good one here from she's saying she loves that answer there, Darby. I want to get over to this question, which now, of course, I cannot find. Here we go. From Anissa. For both authors, why do you write? Darby, you're in the hot seat.
Oh man, I let me preface this with saying, like, sometimes you hear writers talk, and they're like, I wrote my first book when I was 3, and all of those kind of things. I didn't do that, and I would have said up until recently, I didn't really think about writing until I was, basically 30. But my mom insists that I would, like, cut out stuff from magazines, and I would make up stories, and it was just always something I did. I just didn't write them down. So now the answer is, I don't know how not to do it, right? Like, it is even in between books where I say to myself, okay, I'm going to take a little mental break, enjoy other thrillers, go outside, do those kind of things. The reality is the ideas start coming, right? And I have to write them down and those kind of things. So I write because I love to read. I'm an avid reader. I write because it's just, the stories are there. And I think if I don't put them down, like if you have stories in your head and you're not an author, people start to wonder, right? Like, so it's best that I have an outlet for everything that's running through my mind.
Yeah, exactly. And it's best that you stay indoors and
exactly.
Write. Tessa, what about you? Why do you write?
I would say one of the big reasons I write, and I'm going to get pretty real here, is that it really helps me to process all the anxieties that I have and all the worries that I have. Like, I've always been such a worrier, those personalities. Like, that's just how my parents say that this is the way that I've been basically since birth. And I was always, concerned about them going out to dinner and, being alone with the babysitter and someone breaking in or whatever. I just have a really, I think, overactive imagination, and always have. And somewhere along the way, I just realized that especially with crime fiction, and I think that's why I gravitated toward mysteries and writing mysteries and thrillers, I just realized that if I put all of my worst fears and anxieties on the page, that they didn't haunt me. They didn't plague me in my everyday life the way that they used to. So now it's kind of like therapy to some extent. Just like Darby, I definitely cannot imagine going through, even a week without writing at this point. It's just so ingrained in my routine and in my process. But at the same time, I think it's also just become like a useful tool for me to just process my emotions and my fears.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Anissa, thank you for all the hearts. Anissa's just giving you bouquets of hearts. Anissa, thank you for the wonderful question and for the transparency and authenticity. I know I've struggled with anxiety my whole life, so I totally relate to what you're saying. Risa's saying she loves locked room style stories. Exactly. And heading back to that question about Agatha Christie and how much she's influenced that. Diane saying she also loves locked room thrillers, that we're addicted to that kind of whodunit. Absolutely. She pioneered that. Thank you for all of these wonderful questions, everybody, and all of these great comments. Diane saying she also loved the late great queen of suspense, Mary Higgins Clark, another fabulous pioneer. Welcome to the conversation, Leslie, joining us from Canada. Thank you so much for tuning in. And we have time for one, maybe two more questions. Wendy saying, thank you so much for this. Yes, so great to have you here, Wendy. Thank you. Megan would like to know, does your family read your books? Ooh.
Darby, you want to go first on this one? You're laughing.
Well,
I have a good answer in here.
I'm laughing because I write thrillers under the name of Darby Kane, but for years I wrote romance, mostly romantic suspense, under the name Helen K. Diamond, which is my actual name. And,
I was like, wait, how many names do you have, lady?
Just two, I swear. And as the romantic suspense, I would say nobody did. Like, they all had them on the shelves. It's just the idea of, my dad used to say, the idea of, reading something my daughter wrote and there's like kissing and sex in it, it's too much. So I understood. But the thrillers, my mom, I'm an avid thriller reader because my mom was. Growing up, like, that's the books, they were all over the house. So she's an avid reader. My brothers read them. My husband has read Pretty Little Wife, but he has not read the newest one or the one right before it. But yeah, it doesn't really, like, I always say to my family members, as long as you buy it and put it on the shelf, I'm fine.
Yeah, as long as you buy like 5 to 27 copies.
Thank you. You exactly understand.
You don't have to read every single one. That's what about you.
Tell all your friends. That's what I need you to do.
This is what you're getting everyone for Christmas. You're welcome.
So my mom also has always been a really big reader, not only thrillers. In fact, she reads a lot more thrillers now that I turn her on to more thriller authors. And I think now that I'm writing thrillers myself, but she is one of my beta readers and my husband's one of my beta readers too. So they always read everything. They're kind of like the first line of defense against embarrassment kind of for me. So like, I'm not necessarily ready to show it to anyone else when it goes to them, but that gives me, I'm so comfortable with them and with their opinion. I know they're going to be brutally honest too, that once I can get through whatever revisions they suggest, then I feel like it's ready to take out a little broader. I'm going through an interesting thing right now with my kids, who again are teenagers. My daughter has read the first two, and she read them a couple years ago when they first came out in 2020, both of the first two. And that was very disconcerting and disquieting kind of, because, they're not graphically violent by any means, but there is a little violence and there is a little allusion to sex. And so at the time she would have been, 14, I guess, 13 going on 14. So I was a little unsure about how that would be received because she hadn't really read anything like that yet at that point. Now she reads Agatha Christie. Now she's really into thrillers and mysteries. So that's nice. My son hasn't quite gotten there yet, but I presume that eventually he will. I mean, the books are all over the house, so probably at some point it's going to happen.
Oh my gosh. Megan, what a great and funny question. Risa saying, what great answers you had for why you both write. Thank you. A mystery user saying, not true, Hid. Family is reading all of your books. I think that's for you, Helen K. For you, Darby. Diane saying, yes, buy those books, support the authors. Speaking of which, thank you, Diane. Here are the links. So we are going live to 7 different destinations tonight. So no matter where you're watching from, here is the link. Pre-order Darby's book at this link, and here pre-order Tessa's book at this link. And the good folks at Murder by the Book will send these books out tomorrow when they come out. So these books are out tomorrow, y'all. So grab, thank you so much, Diane. So grab them now. Here is the link for Tessa's book. So no matter where you're watching from, click, click, click. Pre-order. As Diane is saying, support the authors. Absolutely. Support these ladies and immerse yourself in their fabulous, fabulous books out tomorrow. So with that, Diane saying, what a fun evening. Thank you, ladies. Thank you for joining us, Diane.
Yeah,
Tessa and Darby, thank you both for joining us. Thank you for the skinny on these books. And I can't wait for you to come back. Double the trouble and double the fun when your next books are out.
That sounds great.
We'll have to figure out how to make this a regular thing and have all of our books launch on the same day.
We can do it.
Yay. All right, y'all. I'll be back at the top of the hour with Kimberly Bell here to give us the inside scoop on the personal assistant. So grab some tea and come back and join us. We'll see you then.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Sarah.